Stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight's invocation is being offered by Council Member Jerry Maynard.
Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for our country, our state, and this great city. We thank you, Lord, for the servants that are here today representing your constituents. We are here to serve them. We ask you, Lord, that you give us the mind to serve, to be humble, and to be wise in all our decisions. In God's name we pray. Amen.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Without objection, we'll suspend the calling of the roll and ask the clerk to record the names of the members present throughout the meeting. Is there a motion to adopt the minutes of our April 7th meeting? We have a motion and a second. Without objection, the minutes will stand approved as written. Madam Clerk, are there any messages from the mayor?
There are no messages from the mayor.
Thank you. We're now at the point on our agenda for elections and confirmations. Councilmember Harmon.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections Committee met this afternoon and considered the following: the appointment of Ms. Christy Watkins to the Auditorium Commission, the appointment of Mr. Ty Draper to the CATV Special Committee, the reappointment of Ms. Joanne North to the Civil Service Commission, the reappointment of Mr. Ned Horton to the Board of Fair Commissioners, the appointment of Dr. Oscar Miller, the appointment of Ms. Janice Rodriguez, and the reappointment of Mr. Peter Woolfolk to the Human Relations Commission, and I would move their approval. I'm sorry, we approve them 4 in favor, none opposed, and I would move their approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing. Christy Watkins, Ty Draper, Joanne North, Ned Horton, Oscar Miller, Janice Rodriguez, and Peter Woolfolk. On behalf of the entire Metropolitan Council, thank you for your willingness to serve our great city by volunteering your time and your expertise. Thank you. Okay, we have 2 presentations this evening. Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you, Madam President, and I need to ask Peter Woolfolk. Where is he? Okay, and his people. Thank you. This is a resolution recognizing the Better Business Bureau of Nashville, and it reads as, whereas the Better Business Bureau in Middle Tennessee represents over 5,400 local businesses committed to demonstrating good corporate citizenships through the BBB Student and Integrity Scholarship Program, awarding $10,000 annually to deserving high school students. The highly coveted Torch Award for Ethical Commerce is BBB's highest recognition, rewarded annually to an outstanding business who consistently demonstrate their commitment to creating a marketplace and of trust in Middle Tennessee. And whereas the BBB of Middle Tennessee has also gained national recognition for its exceptional work from United States Congressman Jim Cooper when he made a formal presentation to his colleagues on the floor of the United States House of Representatives on November 2011 that cited the many accomplishments and service initiative to businesses and consumers. Whereas it is fitting and proper that the Metropolitan Council recognizes the Better Business Bureau of Nashville for continued success in their future endeavors. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Council of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, Section 1, the Metro Council hereby goes on record as recognizing the Better Business Bureau. 2, the Metro Council Office is directed to prepare a copy of this resolution to be presented to the Better Business Bureau of Nashville, and the resolution shall take effect from and after its adoption, the welfare of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson requiring it. I present this proclamation signed Diane Neighbors, Vice Mayor, Walter Hunt, Councilman District 3, and the Metropolitan Council. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you very much. It is indeed an honor to serve our citizens of Middle Tennessee and Nashville, all supported without any government assistance or taxpayer dollars, to the trust of commerce and consumer education in our marketplace. It is our proud acceptance of this resolution on behalf of the Better Business Bureau's Board of Directors and our advisory board that make up over 116 volunteer business owners throughout our service area. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Briefly, Police Officer John Downs, he wasn't able to come, but he asked me to do this, and we're going to present it to Councilman Pardue and Councilman Pridemore so they can deliver it to him. This is whereas it is fitting to recognize those who put their lives on the line to ensure the safety of the citizens of Nashville and who perform above and beyond the call of duty. Whereas Officer Down is a member of the Special Response Team, had previously worked in the Domestic Violence Division, and whereas on the evening of Sunday, April 12, 2015, 18-year-old veteran Officer John Down was shot during a robbery investigation at the Hunters Trace apartment in Nashville Village, and whereas never knowing when an ordinary call could become intense, Officer Downs risked his life on a day-to-day basis while protecting the citizens of Davidson County, and therefore Walter Hunt, District 3 Council Member of the Metropolitan Government and Davidson County, do hereby recognize Police Officer John Downs for his bravery in the line of duty and wish him a speedy recovery. And this is accepted by our good friend Pardue. Go ahead.
On behalf of Officer Downs, I just want you to know that we proudly accept this. Myself, Councilman Pridemore, and we'll see that it gets to him, and thank you a lot.
Councilmember Garrett.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would like for all the members of the Minority Caucus, if they would come forward, as well as any other Vanderbilt University graduate, if you could come and stand on this side. We'd be honored. If you attended 2 days at Vanderbilt, please come forward. And we know that our Vice Mayor, Dr. Neighbors, is also a proud graduate of Vanderbilt. Dr. Neighbors, on behalf of our honored guest, Perry Wallace, we're giving you this book, as well as he has placed a nice autograph in there for you, and we'll ask the Sergeant at Arms if he will bring it up to you. Now, turn over to Tim Garrett.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. As a UT graduate and unable to recruit Perry Wallace, he turned us down. I have two at-large members who are both graduates from Vanderbilt, Council Member Stein and Council Member Tigert, who are going to read the resolution as appropriately.
Thank you, Councilman. Clearly, Councilman Tyga and I are the oldest lifelong Nashvillians and perhaps longest Vanderbilt basketball fans here. And while we acknowledge you tonight, Perry, you do us honor by allowing us to do so. Come on up. Come on up, the man of the hour.
Right here.
Join the party.
Whereas Perry Wallace was the first African-American varsity athlete to play under an athletic scholarship in the Southeastern Conference, playing for Vanderbilt, and those experiences are the subject of the book, Strong Inside, by Andrew Marinas. And whereas Perry Wallace attended Pearl High School in the then segregated Nashville Public Schools, graduating in 1966 and going on to play college basketball for Vanderbilt, and as a Commodore, broke the racial color barrier in the Southeastern Conference. And whereas on campus, he encountered the leading civil rights figures of the day, and he led a Vanderbilt small group of black students in meeting with the university chancellor to push for better treatment. And whereas while at Vanderbilt, he was welcomed by his teammates, but traveling was difficult, as he was often threatened by opposing teams with verbal taunts, roughness on the court, and experienced a boycott at the University of Mississippi. And the NCAA instituted the Lou Alcindor rule, even though if you read Andrew's book, it probably ought to be called the Alcindor-Wallace rule, which deprived him of his signature move, the slam dunk. And whereas despite this attempt to limit the influence of black stars, the final basket of his college career was a cathartic and defiant and wonderful dunk. And he had gone on from hearing racial epithets to being voted as the university's Bachelor of Ugliness, representing the most outstanding student at the university. And upon graduation, he bravely and publicly told the story of his experience, describing the difficulties he had overcome. And whereas Father Ryan High School's basketball team faced Pearl Cone at Municipal Auditorium on January 5, 2015, commemorating the first game between them in 1965, and
And whereas the game was referred to as the game that changed the South between two schools in 1965, that was the first ever sporting event in the South between an integrated team and an all African American team. And whereas the members of the 1965 Pearl High Tigers were Perry Wallace, Theodore Hound McLean, the Hound, just making sure you remember. James Douglas, Walter Fisher, John Petway, Tyrone Pfizer, Jesse Rucker, Irwin Williams, Ronald Parham, Joseph Herbert, and Ronald Thompson. The 1965 Pearl High Tigers were led under the direction of head coach Cornelius Ridley, assistant coaches Melvin Black. As a side note, that's probably why you lost the game. And James Armstrong and team manager William Terrell. And whereas it is fitting and proper that the Metropolitan Council tonight honors Perry Wallace for his participation in the 1965 basketball game between Pearl High and Father Ryan High Schools that helped bring change and progress to Nashville and created a powerful moment that improved race relations in the South. Congratulations.
Thank you. Should I take it or should I say something? Thank you. Vice Mayor, neighbors, members of the council, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very much. It is really an honor to come home and be recognized like this to the place where I lived, where I grew, where I prayed, where I cried, where I had dreams, and then lived them out. And then, not to be selfish about it, just as I said at the reception, I want to thank you and congratulate you. I've watched you over these years as a government, and I see the changes. I've seen them. Sometimes if you're away, you can look at a distance and you really can see, especially if you grew up here and then you look and you just watch and you see so many different things, that wide and deep, as I always say. I've been all around the world, and everybody not only knows Nashville, but they want to come here. And so I can just smile when they talk about it and say, that's my home. Wow. Thank you so much.
We are now at resolutions on the consent agenda. Resolution RS 2015-145 through 1462 are on the consent agenda. I will read them, and you can let me know if any of them need to be pulled from the consent agenda. RS 2015-1445 authorizes the mayor to submit the annual update to the 2013-2018 Consolidated Plan for Housing and Community Development Programs for Metro Government to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. 1446 approves a grant from the State Arts Commission to the Metro's Arts Commission for the Arts Build Community Program. 1447 approves an application for a grant from the State Department of Finance and Administration to the Office of the District Attorney General to provide services to Hispanic victims of crime, child homicide families, sexual and physical abuse victims. 1448 approves an application for a grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to the Mayor's Office to accomplish recommendations identified in the Domestic Violence Safety and Accountability Assessment. 1449 approves an application for continuation of a grant from the State Department of Finance and Administration to Metro Nashville Police Department to provide mental health services and criminal justice system advocacy. 1450 approves a grant from the State Department of Finance and Administration to Metro Nashville Police Department for the Internet Crimes Against Children Unit. 1451 approves a grant from the Tennessee State Library and Archives to the Nashville Public Library for archives management. 1442 approves a grant from the Tennessee State Library and Archives to the Metro Parks Department to preserve, catalog, and make available to the public a collection of research pertaining to the Civil War in Middle Tennessee and at Fort Negley Park and Visitor Center. 1453 approves a grant from the Metro Development and Housing Agency to the Metro Historical Commission to perform environmental review necessary of historic properties. 1454 approves an application for a grant from the Greater Nashville Regional Council to the Metro Social Services Commission to deliver meals. 1455 approves an application for a grant from the Greater Nashville Regional Council to the Metro Social Services Commission for meal delivery services in congregate meal sites. 1456 approves an application for a grant from the Greater Nashville Regional Council to Metro Social Services Commission for transportation services. 1457 approves an amendment to a grant from the State Department of Labor and Workforce Development to the Nashville Career Advancement Center to prepare eligible participants for re-entry into the labor force and to provide employment training. 1458 approves an amendment to a grant from the State Department of Labor and Workforce Development to the Nashville Career Advancement Center for activities that increase the employment, retention, and earnings of participants. 1459 approves an amendment from the State Department of Labor and Workforce Development to the Nashville Career Advancement Center to establish programs and deliver services to prepare dislocated workers for re-entry into the labor force. 1460 approves an amendment to a grant from the State Department of Labor and Workforce Development to the Nashville Career Advancement Center to prepare eligible participants for re-entry into the labor force. 1461 authorizes French's Shoes and Boots, LLC to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 126 First Avenue North. 1462 authorizes the Department of Law to settle Metro's subrogation claim for the in-line of duty injury benefits paid on behalf of Metro Fire Department employee Thomas Goad in the amount of $13,333.33. Do any of these need to be pulled? Seeing none, I will need committee reports. Councilmember Pridemore.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted on RS 2015, 1445, 1446, 1447, 1448, 1449, 1450, 1451, 1452, 1453, and 1454 voted 9-4-0 against. RS 2015-1455, 1456, 1457, 1458, 1459, 1460, and 1462. Budget and Finance voted 10-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Westerholm.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Federal Grants Review approved RS 2015-1445, 4-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Health, Hospitals, and Social Services Committee approved 1454, 1455, 1456, 3-4, and on 1456, we actually had 4-4 and 0 against, and it was recommended, all of them were recommended for approval.
Thank you. Councilmember Bennett.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Parks and Library Committee voted for 1451 and 1452 to approve, 6-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Weiner.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Health Hospitals, listen to me, I'm being you, Erica. Personnel, Public Information, Human Relations, and the Housing Committee voted to approve 1457, 1458, 1459, and 1460, 2-4 and 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Hunt.
Planning, Zoning, and Historical approved Bill 1453, 1461, 9-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Baker.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Public Safety Beer and Regulated Beverages approved 1447, 4-4, 0 against, 1448, 49, and 50, 5-4, 0 against, and 1066 was deferred indefinitely, 5-0.
Thank you. Councilmember Anthony Davis.
Thank you. Public Works approved 1461, 4-4, and 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Harmon.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would move approval of the consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. We will go back to one that was not on the consent agenda and then a late filed resolution. RS 2015-1420 appropriates $1,849,600 to the Fairgrounds Farmers Market and Municipal Auditorium to balance their fiscal year 2014-15 operating budgets. Councilmember Pridemore.
Yes, thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I have a substitute bill.
Could you give your committee report first?
Naturally. Budget and Finance voted 9-4, 0 against.
Thank you. And now
I'd like to offer a substitute bill, please.
we have a motion and a second on the substitute. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the substitute, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Substitute passes.
I move for approval.
We have a motion and a second on the bill as substituted. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Councilmember Gilmore, you have a late filed resolution.
I do. Vice Mayor, thank you so much for recognizing me. I would like to request a suspension of the rules.
Is there the reason?
Yes, the reason is a coalition of advocates for housing for the individuals of the James Robertson Parkway have come and asked us to support a resolution. On April the 30th, 2015, approximately 34 to 50 tenants at James Robertson Towers will not be able to secure new housing. The prospect of the eviction of these tenants poses a physical, emotional, psychological, and financial crisis. Therefore, I ask that the resolution be considered as a late item on this 21st agenda tonight at the Metro Council so that we can show our support for the tenants in their efforts to secure permanent housing as we continue to make efforts to work on affordable housing in the city of Nashville.
Is there any objection to a suspension of the rules? Seeing none, this resolution supports the efforts of the remaining residents of James Robertson Towers to find safe and affordable replacement housing and requesting the new owners of the building to take the necessary action to secure permanent housing and cover the relocation expenses of the remaining tenants. Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you so much. I'd like to move for approval with one more comment.
Have a motion and a second.
Thank you so much. I just also would like to acknowledge, it's not just myself, Councilmember Banks was a co-sponsor, as well as Councilmember Berry, and as well as Councilmember Allen here, who is one of my good colleagues as well. And I just wanted to read the 3 points so that all the council members would be aware of what we're supporting. It just says that the Metropolitan Council hereby goes on record as supporting the efforts of the remaining residents of James Robertson Towers to secure safe and affordable replacement. The second one is that the Metropolitan Council further goes on record as requesting 10th Avenue multifamily partners, the new owners of James Robertson Towers, to take the necessary action to secure permanent and affordable housing and to cover the relocation expenses for the remaining tenants. And the third point is that the Metropolitan Council also goes on record recognizing that this occurrence with the James Robertson Towers has underscored the need for the council to support policies that ensure future developments are not approved at the expense of low-income, elderly, disabled citizens, and that the desires to see metropolitan government take additional steps to support the funding, building, and preservation of affordable housing. So thank you so much.
Councilmember Tigert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's one sentence in this resolution that bothers me a little bit, and I'd like the council lady or the sponsor to respond to this. And it talks about the burden of securing new housing for these current tenants, and that the burden has fallen on the individual residents along with patchwork assistance from Metro Social Services. I'd like the assurance that the government of Nashville, including our Social Services Department, has done everything in their power to help these individuals.
Thank you. I can't speak for social services, but I did receive a report from the director, Jim Harbison, the other day, and I do know that they have been really working hard. Originally, there were 110 persons that were displaced. It has now decreased. 10 have leased vouchers. 8 are in the process of leasing with the vouchers. 6 are reported at the PHA. 46 moved out without voucher assistance. 32 are in the process of moving out with leads, and 17 have applied for Metro Development Housing. And at this time, we've gotten it down to, he has worked very hard to have 8 persons that still need replacement housing. So I know that the director of MDHA has worked very hard. That was the report he gave me as of yesterday.
That's great news. That's not much consolation to someone who falls on the outside. And once again, if any of our government employees, especially those who are in social services, are watching, I hope that this is their number one priority and that they're not leaving the office till they help these folks out.
Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just wanted to respond to Councilman Tigert. Actually, Venus Allen from Metro Social Services has been the key point contact with these folks and has worked very, very closely to help get them in housing. And I did want to commend Metro Social Services for stepping up on this. They not only have helped organize moves, they've helped find and secure housing, and it's been an all-hands-on-deck effort to help these folks. So thanks.
Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just wanted to close out by recognizing the advocates. I think it's a partnership, and I appreciate them coming out tonight. A lot of them came out, and they're the reason that we sponsored this resolution along with Social Services and MDHA. And I do think it's a team effort, and I thank you so much for indulging me to suspend the rules tonight so that we could have this resolution. Thank you so much.
All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. We're now at introduction. Order. We're now at bills on introduction and first reading. Is there a motion for their approval? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. We're now at bills on second reading. BL 2015-1065 amends the Metro Code to pertaining to pay plan worksheets submitted to the Metro Council. Councilmember Weiner.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm assuming you want a committee report, and that would be mine. Personnel, Public Information, Human Relations, and Housing Committee voted 2-4-0 against to recommend. And I move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1066 amends the Metro Code pertaining to the prohibited acts by beer permit holders, agents, and employees. Councilmember Scott Davis.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to move for an indefinite deferral with a brief explanation.
Councilman Baker, do you have a committee report?
Public safety beer regulated beverages approved this indefinite deferral 5-0.
Thank you. Councilmember Scott Davis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to defer this bill. It's very important that we
have a motion and a second.
I apologize, Vice Mayor.
Okay. Councilman?
I'd like to move the bill as deferred.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the deferral, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1067 approves an agreement relating to the sale and redevelopment of the property on which the old convention center is located. Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Hang on one second. Councilmember Pridemore.
Budget and Finance voted 10-4-0 against.
Councilmember Banks. Councilmember Hunt.
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor. Planning and Zoning Historic approved bills 1067, 5-4, 1 abstention.
Thank you. Councilmember Banks.
Thank you, Chair. Convention and Tourism approved 6-4-0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would like to move for approval with a brief comment.
We have a motion and a second.
Thank you so much. I would just like to commend the Mayor's office and Rich Reebland for allowing this to happen, and also to acknowledge those that have gone before us. This allows the African American Museum to come in, and we're really excited about the convention center as well. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. It's been many, many years of work, and we know that we're not the first, so we finally get to see it coming to fruition, and I'm very excited about that. So with that, I move for approval.
Councilmember Bedney.
Yes, thank you. Yesterday at the Planning Commission, I abstained because I was concerned about something on the massing of the building, but I had a conversation with the architects today, and I feel that they're going in the right direction, so I just wanted to say I'm going to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1068 abandons a portion of alley number 922 right-of-way and easements. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Hunt.
Planning and Zoning approved bill 1068, 9-4-0 against.
Councilmember Harrison.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Traffic and Parking approved 5-4-0 against.
Councilmember Anthony Davis.
Thank you. Public Works approved 5-4-0 against as well.
Councilmember Allen.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1069 abandons a portion of Forsyth Place right-of-way. Councilmember Todd.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Councilmember Anthony Davis.
Public Works approved 5-4-0 against.
Councilmember Harrison.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Traffic and Parking deferred this by rule.
Councilmember Hunt.
Planning and Parking approved 9-4-0 against.
Councilmember Todd.
Thank you. I move to defer one meeting.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the one meeting deferral, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1070 abandons a portion of Franklin Pike Circle right-of-way and easements. Councilmember Todd.
Thank you. Committee reports.
Councilmember Anthony Davis.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Public Works approved this one, also 5-4-0 against.
Councilmember Harrison.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Traffic and Parking deferred by rule.
Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Planning and Parking approves 1070, 9-4-0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember Todd.
Thank you. And I also would move to defer this one meeting.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1071 authorizes Fountains of Germantown Holdings, LLC to construct and install structural and aerial encroachments at 1401 and 1403 3rd Avenue North, 1408 and 1410 4th Avenue North, and 302 Taylor Street. Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee report.
Councilmember Anthony Davis.
Thank you. Public Works approved 4-4 and 0 against.
Councilmember Hunt.
Planning and zoning approved Bill 1071, 9-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you. Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Frank just didn't go the extra mile.
Opposed, no.
Sometimes I'll just defer to.
Motion passes. BL 2015-1072 authorizes Gulch Hotel Owner LLC and A.J. Berger Gulch Developer LLC to install, construct, and maintain an aerial and underground encroachment into the public right-of-way for an entry canopy, electrified signage, and for irrigation lines along 11th Avenue South, 12th Avenue South, and Pine Street. Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Councilmember Anthony Davis.
Thank you. Public Works approved 1072, 5-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Planning and zoning approved Bill 1072, 9-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you very much. Move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1073 accepts permanent and temporary easements for the Bixler Avenue Stormwater Improvement Project for 9 properties along Bixler and Delaware Avenues. Councilmember Pridemore.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Anthony Davis.
Thank you. Public Works approved 5-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you. Planning and zoning approved Bill 1073, 9-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Pridemore.
Thank you, and move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1074 accepts permanent and temporary easements for Ben Allen Road Stormwater Improvement Project for 17 properties located along Hart Lane, Hudson Avenue, and Ben Allen Road. Councilmember Bennett.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Hunt.
Planning and zoning approved Bill 1074, 9-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Anthony Davis.
Public Works approved this one 5-4 and 0 against.
Move approval, please.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1075 abandons approximately 160 linear feet of 8-inch sanitary sewer main and easements and authorizes construction of approximately 231 linear feet of 8-inch PVC sewer main for properties located at 520 26th Avenue North and 26th Avenue North unnumbered. Councilmember Langster.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Hunt.
Planning and zoning approved Bills 1075, 9-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Anthony Davis.
Public Works also approved 5-4 and 0 against. Bill number 1075.
That's it.
Councilmember Langster.
I move for approval, please.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2014-897 changes 23.87 acres from R10 to RS10 zoning for various properties located along Auburn Lane, Dartmouth Avenue, Tulane Court, and Woodmont Lane, south of Woodmont Boulevard. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would move an amendment with a brief explanation, please.
We have a motion and a second. Council.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Just briefly, in a moment, Councilman Holloman will be moving to suspend the rules to add a couple properties that are technically in his district but are basically in the same neighborhood that wish to be included in this rezoning, and this is a friendly amendment to my amendment, so I would ask the council to look favorably on that. And I renew my motion, please.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. Councilmember Holloman.
Thank you, and without objection, I would like to move 3503, 3505, and 3509 Woodmont Lane back into the downzoning.
Is there any objection? Seeing none, we have a motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of Councilmember Holloman's amendment, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Now we're back to Councilmember McGuire's amendment.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would move approval of the amendment.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. The amendment passes.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would move approval as amended.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the bill as amended, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1032 applies the contextual overlay to various properties located along Greenwood Avenue, Rosebank Avenue, Skyview Drive, Waters Avenue, Shady Lane, Powers Avenue, McCarn Street, Tillman Lane, Washington Avenue, Eastland Avenue, Groves Park Road, Urban Place, Wilsonwood Place, Hackberry Lane, and North 20th Street. Councilmember Westerholm.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Committee report.
All in.
All in. With that, there is a substitute. I would like to move the substitute.
We have a motion and a second on the substitute. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilman Westerholm.
With that, I would move forward with brief comment.
We have a motion and a second on the bill as substituted. Councilmember Westerholm.
Thank you. I just wanted to express my appreciation for the Eastwood Neighbor Organization and Rolling Acres Neighborhood Association for all the work that they've put into this. I know that a lot of folks spend a lot of time knocking on doors and canvassing, and the work that has gone into this is going to be paid off with the passage of this tonight. Some people did reach out to me over the past couple of weeks, and we did defer this for 2 meetings in order to look very closely at a couple of areas. I did go back out and try to do some additional outreach to those areas where there was not any feedback. And just so that everyone who may be watching understands that what we said from the onset was we wanted to cast a wide net and then work within that to make sure we had the overlay as correct as we could get it. There were some areas that did not have reached the required support rate. There was not sufficient support, and because that was something that was communicated on the front end of the process, that was the reason the lack of support in those areas are the reason why a few blocks are being removed with a substitute. So once again, I just want to express my appreciation for many of those who've been a part of this process, and with that, I would move approval.
We have a motion and a second on the bill as substituted. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1043 amends the Hillsborough Village Urban Design Overlay to add a parcel and create Sub-District 1D. Councilmember Moore.
Committee report.
Councilmember Hunt.
Planning, Zoning, and Historical approved Bill 1043, 940 against.
Councilmember Moore.
There's an amendment to this bill, and I would like to move the amendment.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
And I would like to...
the amendment passes.
Okay. I'd like to approve the bill as amended.
We have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1044 changes .32 acres from RM40 to MUL zoning for property located at 2024 Blakemore Avenue. Councilmember Moore.
Committee report.
Councilmember Hunt.
Planning and Zoning approved Bill 1044, 940 against.
Councilmember Moore.
Move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1045 changes 4.99 acres from AR28 IWD zoning for property located at 12872 Old Hickory Boulevard. Councilmember Duvall.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you. Planning and Zoning approved Bill 1044, 940 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Duvall.
I'd like to defer one meeting, please.
We have a motion and a second for a one-meeting deferral. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. One meeting deferral
Thank you.
passes. BL 2015-1046 changes 4.18 acres from RS10 to SP zoning for property located at 204 Ben Allen Road to permit up to 17 dwelling units. Councilmember Bennett.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Planning and Zoning approved Bill 1046, 940 against.
Councilmember Bennett.
Move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1047 changes 1.25 acres from R6 to SP zoning for property located at Wedgewood Avenue unnumbered, approximately 750 feet west of Bransford Avenue to permit a mixed-use development. Councilmember Moore.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you. Planning and Zoning and Historical approved Bill 1047, 940 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Moore.
I move for approval, please.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1048 changes approximately 16.76 acres from CSMUL OR20 RM40 and R6 zoning to DTC zoning for various properties located west of Rosa L. Parks Boulevard and north of Jefferson Street, and to update associated maps within the Metro Zoning Code to reflect the proposed DTC and Hope Gardens sub-district boundaries. Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Councilmember Hunt.
Planning and Zoning approved Bill 1048, 940 against.
Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would like to move for approval with a brief comment.
Have a motion and a second. Councilmember.
Thank you so much. I am really excited about this DTC being extended to the other side of Jefferson Street to the Hope Gardens neighborhood. I really want to thank the planning department. I know they have a lot on their hands, but they went and they worked with us, and a lot of times people ask what we can do as council members to encourage development, and so this type of zoning will encourage positive development and make it more easy for more businesses to come in and make it more pedestrian friendly and bring more retail. So I'm really just excited about this zoning. So with that, I move for approval, and I thank planning for it, and I'm just excited for it to happen.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1049 makes applicable the provisions of the urban design overlay for 20.5 acres located east of Bowling Avenue along Valley Vista Road, Bellwood Avenue, and Saratoga Drive. Councilmember Holloman.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you. Planning and Zoning approved Bill 1049, 940 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Holloman.
Move approval.
Have a
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot I have a substitute. I'd like to move the substitute.
We have a motion and a second on the substitute. All in favor of the substitute, please say aye. Opposed, no. Substitute passes.
Move as substituted.
Have a motion and a second on the bill as substituted. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1050 changes .59 acres from RS5 to SP zoning for properties located at 1201 Davidson Street, 1203 Davidson Street, and 1205 Davidson Street to permit up to 6 detached residential dwelling units. Councilmember Westerholm.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Planning and Zoning approved Bill 1050, 940 against.
Councilmember Westerholm.
With all committee reports in, I would move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1051 changes 1.152 acres from R6 to SP zoning for properties located at 1101, 1103, 1105, 1107, 1109, 1111, 1113, and 1115 3rd Avenue South and 3rd Avenue South unnumbered at the southwest corner of 3rd Avenue South and Mildred Chute Avenue to permit up to 54 residential units, 1,900 square feet of restaurant retail space, and 10 units totaling 7,000 square feet, which are to be office retail multifamily units. Councilmember Moore.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Hunt.
Planning and zoning approved Bill 1051, 9 for, 0 against.
Councilmember Moore.
I move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1052 changes .56 acres from CL to CS zoning for property located at 5765 Old Hickory Boulevard. Councilmember Stanley.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Hunt.
Planning and zoning deferred by rule 9 for, 0 against.
Councilmember Stanley.
I make a motion to defer one meeting.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of the deferral, please say aye. Opposed, no. Deferral passes. BL 2015-1054 changes 7.39 acres from IWD to MUG zoning for property located at 100 Cumberland Bend. Councilmember Harrison.
Thank you. Committee report, please.
Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Planning and zoning approved Bill 1054, 9 for, 0 against.
Councilmember Harrison.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1055 amends the Metro Zoning Code to designate commercial amusement as a use permitted with conditions and adding conditions applicable to such land uses. Councilmember Scott Davis.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Planning and zoning approved Bill 1055, 8 for, 1 against.
Councilmember Scott Davis.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to move for indefinite deferral.
We have a motion and a second for a deferral. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1056 amends the Metro Code to dedicate a portion of the transient occupancy privilege tax generated by short-term rentals properties to the Barnes Fund for Affordable Housing. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to move for approval with a very brief comment.
Have a motion and a second.
Thank you. Just want to say again, this is exciting to me that we are coming up with the first ongoing support for the Barnes Affordable Housing Fund. I know other contributions are being made that are much larger than this, but I think it's a step in the right direction to begin to find some ongoing sources. So with that, I ask for approval.
Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just wanted to commend Councilmember Allen for showing leadership. We talk about affordable housing, but she's offered one of the first solutions that's viable. So I just wanted to commend her for that. Thank you.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1057 amends the Metro Code by amending the meter size furnished by the Department of Water and Sewage Services for residential domestic connections of consumers and customers. Councilmember Anthony Davis.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. All committees in. I would like to move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1058 declares property located at 3646 Old Clarksville Pike to be surplus and authorizes the Director of Public Property Administration to sell the property. Councilmember Matthews.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. With all committee reports in, I move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1059 abandons easement rights that were previously retained within the former right-of-way of 50th Avenue for property located at 6110 Merritt Avenue. Councilmember Anthony Davis.
Thank you. I would like to move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1060 abandons 120 linear feet of existing 48-inch combination sewer main and easement and accepts approximately 215 linear feet of 48-inch combination sewer main and easement for properties located at 210 and 310 First Avenue South. Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. With all committee reports in, I move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1061 names the frontage road off Antioch Pike, McWillan Place. Councilmember Tenpenny.
Thank you. I'd like to move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2015-1062 abandons alley number 701.5 right-of-way and easements. Councilmember Langster.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. With every committee reporting in, I move for approval, please.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you for voting. Motion passes. BL 2015-1063 readopts the Metro Codes containing certain ordinances of a general and permanent nature enacted on or before September 22nd, 2014. Councilmember Harmon.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. All committee reports in, I would move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Thank you for voting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.